Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to get a video out for the 15th of May, but I have to say, not so much has happened since the last video. Um, Hope everybody's May is going well. Mother's Day just passed, so if you're a mom or you have a mom, hope you had a great Mother's Day. But yeah, it's just been kind of a slog. I kind of talked about this in an earlier video called The Hard Work of Writing, where not a whole lot of things happen. It's just kind of day after day getting the work done. So, the last time that I talked about writing, which was not the last video, because the last video I talked about a story I published, but the video before that, um, I was mostly talking about what I was going to start doing going forward, and not a lot of progress has happened. My novel is still not completely revised. I am now starting to think that I may not make my July 1st deadline. We're looking at about 6 weeks to revise this novel, and I don't know if that's going to happen, folks. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think part of me not doing it right now is because I'm a little overwhelmed with how much work I need to do. And usually when that happens, I just have to take a chunk at a time and get it done. However, one thing I did do, and I'm very glad that I did this, was that I looked at the short story that I finished last December. It was the one that I finished right around the end of December, and my intention was to submit it to a market. But when I finished it, I wasn't completely happy with the new revision. And so I decided to set it aside and just finish my novel instead. However, in April, I went back to that short story and read over the draft that I had finished in December, and trying not to get the glare too badly on my glasses. And I was actually very, very happy with that draft. I don't know why I thought it wasn't that great. It was actually really great. In fact, I sort of was a little mad at myself because I had thought, oh my God, this story, oh, it needs so much more work. And then I started to read it and realized, no, it doesn't need that much more work. There was one section that needed to have a change because there was a continuity issue, but yeah, no, it was good. It was, in my opinion, it was good. So I changed that one section so that it made sense with the rest of the story, and I submitted it out. It is now out in the world trying to find a home. And that really sort of helped me get back into the writing groove, and try not to be so afraid of rewriting this novel. I don't know. Oh, if you're new here, hi. My name's Christina, and I'm a genre bending literary writer. And I finished the first novel that I have written in like 20 years a couple of months ago. And but I have had some short stories published. So getting back into the novel has been a little intimidating for me, but finishing that short story and getting it out there really helped me get past some of this fear, because I have this idea that my book is not good and it's going to need like a heavy rewrite and this, that, and the other. But I felt that way about the short story. And then I read the short story and said, you know what? This is not so bad. This is not so bad at all. In fact, I can fix this. This is fixable, and I don't need to throw it all out. I can completely fix this section and then just email it out. So that's what I did. And now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, you got one out the door, time to work on the next one. So I still have two short stories that need some attention. One of them is a brand new story that I started writing in January. And right around mid April, I sent it off to my critique group, and they offered some advice, which was wonderful. And I will be incorporating some of those things. And another short story is one I wrote back in 2023. And again, I want to polish that up and send it out because I, I've realized that I can't just hold on to stories for years and then finally get them out the door. I really need to start writing, getting into the rewrite, and then moving it out the door. One of the things that I want to improve with my writing is that I tend to procrastinate doing rewrites. I'm all for writing first drafts. I am all for writing new words. But when I sit down to rewrite them, I sometimes feel very overwhelmed. And I need to realize that number one, it's not as bad as I think it is. And number two is I always feel so much better after I have finished the rewrite. And especially when short stories are on submission, you would think that I would be nerve wracked about that. But I have realized over the years that I can't really control what happens to the story after it leaves my possession. Once it goes out into the world, whether it's on submission or for publication, I cannot control that. And I have to let that go. Instead, what I can control is while I'm in possession of the story. And so I'm aiming to get better about having the story, rewriting it in a timely fashion. It doesn't have to be, within 2 weeks, but within a month maybe. And then sending it out into the world and letting go of this sort of, oh, I don't want to rewrite it because that's a lot of work. Because sometimes it is, but I always feel better after I've done it. So this is your sign that you need to do your rewrite and send it out into the world. Okay. I'm going to do that this month. You can do that this month. We'll meet back in June and, talk about our progress or our lack of progress. But hopefully you will have progressed. I know I'm going to. I am going to try very hard to finish up these last two short stories and send them out by the end of this month, especially since here in the US we have Memorial Day weekend. And so that's a 3-day weekend, which means I'll have a day off. I probably also will take some time, like some vacation time from my job, so that I can also spend a couple more days mailing things out. But I really want to get these out the door. I have started to uh, tinker with the structure and format of my novel so that I hit all of the emotional points that I want to hit. The good thing is that I have a pretty good memory. And so when I write my stories, I tend to remember what are the big points I want to hit. And I am very happy with how the story hits all of those emotional beats. What I'm not so happy about is the descriptions and the basically exposition. I don't know if I need more exposition or less exposition. And since it's been a few months since I wrote those words for my novel, I'm going to have to go back and reread, especially the first maybe 3 to 4 chapters, and see where I can improve them. I definitely know there needs to be a couple of rewrites in the very beginning, especially with the introduction of characters. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to have to just put one foot in front of the other and finish the work, That's what you really have to do. Um yeah, in terms of that, there hasn't really been any other big progress. I did talk about what I was going to do for Amazon and start my paid level subscription for Substack. I have not done that yet. I was supposed to do that in April, but I forgot. So I'm going to try and finish that up uh, for May. I have quite a few things in May, but as soon as I get these smaller projects done, I think then I can, not have an excuse because I'll be like, well, everything else is done or out the door. So it's time to work on the novel, which is why I think uh, I will not be done by July 1st, but maybe August 1st. Maybe that sounds good. I don't mind August 1st being the new deadline. And all these deadlines are arbitrary. I just gave them to myself. Nobody is sitting here with a ruler slapping my hand saying, come on now, get it done. Nobody's doing that. These are just deadlines that I've given myself so that I can stay on track and not procrastinate, so that I turn around and it's November and I haven't finished my novel. But she laughs, but that that can happen, especially when all the other life things start to encroach in on your writing life. Mainly, um, for me, it's my day job. I have switched my schedule so that now I am working from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's not a bad schedule when you work from home, but now that we are returning to the office a couple days a week, I am waking up very, very early, like between like 4:45 and 5 a.m. so I can get out the door by 6 a.m. so I can get to work by 7:30 a.m. cuz yeah, my office is pretty far from me. So, I'm been a little tired. I think that's the other reason why I skipped the May 1st video is your girl was tired. She is tired of commuting already, and I only do it 2 days a week. There was a time when I went into this office every day, 5 days a week, but that was long before COVID. And I'm very lucky that I have department heads that have advocated for us and said, 2 days is plenty. They can come in. Because, like I said in an earlier video, there's not enough room for everybody. We are hoteling desks right now. So when I'm not in the office on my scheduled day, somebody else is on my desk. So it's not like we can all come in at once. And fun fact, I have heard from other people who are working for the federal government that they are going back to a hybrid schedule too. They're not doing 5 days in the office. They can't because, people were working on the floor and people were working in the cafeteria because there just wasn't enough desks. So, um, 2 days a week is definitely doable. I'm not going to complain at all, because there are people who do have to go in 5 days a week. So, but it is a little tough waking up almost an hour earlier than I'm used to for this new schedule. So once I kind of get a little bit more adjusted to it, I think I will be able to get back to some semblance of a schedule for videos and Substack articles and all of that good stuff. Uh, but other than that, it's just been, the same old, same old. I will say that one of my other goals, if you watch my goals for 2025, was to read more books. And I should have, let's see, my goal was 2 books a month. And I think I am currently at 5 books. So I am under, because this is the 5th month. So I should be at 10 books, but I'm only halfway there. I'm only at 5. So, but I will tell you, I am much further along this time of the year than I was last year. So I am really proud that I have at least been able to get one book finished every month. And hopefully I will, be able to step that up. But it's a little tough balancing reading and writing. I know some people who don't read at all while they're writing and creating their new fiction because they're worried that the book they're reading is going to influence what they're writing. I've never really had that problem, but I know for some people it's tough. So they don't read anything. And then when they finish their novel and they're, putting it aside for a little bit before they do the rewrite, they'll read a book. And then there are some people who read, and then and don't write that much. And I don't know. I think you just have to find the right balance. But for me, at least right now, finishing one book a month is pretty damn good. But I do want to do more. So I think my next book that I'm going to tackle is James by Percival Everett, since it just won the Pulitzer. And I think I had read some things by Percival Everett maybe a few years ago, but I can't remember what they were. So I'm looking forward to reading James, and I'm hopefully going to find it at my library. Maybe, I don't know. Now there's won the Pulitzer, it might be really popular, but if not, I will try and read it by the end of this year. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm doing right now with my book. Um, Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more about my writing life and me babbling about reading and writing and all things that have to do with publishing, hit the subscribe button. I'm at 17 subscribers, I think, right now, which is very awesome. But I could always use more. And thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye.